What on earth has happened to Harry? Why does his life now look like that of some type of Vanderpump Rules star instead of the man who once vowed to uphold the values of the late Queen? The question we have got to ask is why, when their ridiculously exaggerated version of events are proven to be factually incorrect time after time, why don't they stop? I don't even know where to begin with these two. I mean, they claim that they had a secret wedding in the garden by the Archbishop of Canterbury 3 days before their actual 2018 televised wedding, only for the Archbishop to come out and say no, that never happened. In fact, it would have been illegal for him to do something like that. And then they made the claim that they were subjected to horrible racism at the hands of members of the royal family, but they never could give any evidence for that, other than Harry saying on record that it was all media invention, and in fact, they had never meant to call the royal family racist in the least. And then they tried to say that Meghan was denied help by the palace for her supposed suicidal thoughts, but they couldn't give any proof of this. And perhaps even more tellingly is the fact that there is no mention of this or the racism allegations in Harry's tell-all book Spare. And they also tried to claim that the royal family denied Archofficial any titles because of the color of his skin. But once King Charles became king, his grandson and his granddaughter earned the titles of Prince and Princess. That is according to royal protocol. And Meghan also lied, saying that she had never looked up her husband online and that she never bothered researching the monarchy. But according to the authors of Finding Freedom, Meghan in fact did a Google search on Harry, I think before their first date. They also acted like working with these big media companies like Netflix was not part of the plan when they first planned to move to the US, but since then we have learned that in fact Meghan and Harry started speaking to Quibi video streaming from as early on as 2019. During their little talk with Oprah, Meghan claimed that she had had her passport taken away from her, and she also claimed she couldn't just leave. But Meghan and Harry jetted off on 13 vacations together, including time in Ibiza, Nice, and Amsterdam. And Meghan also traveled solo to New York and Toronto. Meghan said that the royal family silenced her, but realistically, she went on 73 public engagements as a working royal. She and Harry did an engagement interview with the BBC, and perhaps most famously, or infamously, Meghan gave that interview to Tom Bradby for ITV when she was in South Africa. Meghan and Harry said that their security was taken away in spite of them being so scared for their safety, but when they quit their royal duties, of course they lost their IPP status. Senior royals are not entitled to taxpayer-funded 24/7 security if they are not working royals. And recently, they claimed in a statement that they were hounded by a ring of highly aggressive paparazzi after they left the Women of Vision Awards in Manhattan, and that then there was this relentless pursuit with multiple near collisions. But the NYPD story is a bit different. They didn't mention any risk of crashes, and they didn't describe any chase between any vehicles. Whoopi Goldberg claimed that New York is way too congested anyway for any kind of car chase. Many other people said the same thing, and even the taxi driver himself came out and contradicted Meghan and Harry's version of events. So at this point, folks, is it any wonder then that people with common sense cannot believe a word that comes out of their mouths, because none of it is ever true? As with all the above claims made by Meghan and Harry, it turns out their truth doesn't even come close to resembling the actual truth. And I cannot understand why some of those sugars continue to believe anything they say. I'm beginning to think those folks don't even have a single brain cell between all of them. Even with so much evidence, indisputable evidence of Meghan's lies, they refuse to view her as anything less than a goddess. Their eyes are going to be open sooner or later, though, and I am afraid they're going to come crashing back down to reality, just like the Diana cultists needed to do at one point. Those sugars are living in a fantasy land. Reports are that Harry right now is talking to divorce lawyers. Well, I'd say that's a pretty good thing if it's true. He has got to leave Meghan if he hopes to save himself. And if he wants to save the invisible children, if they are real, then of course he has to leave her. Harry needs to go back home. He needs to be with his children, again if they're real, and just be with his family. And then the sugars can say all they want about how great and wonderful Meghan is. I just don't understand why people still cannot see the gruesome twosome for what they really are. Everything they say is a big fat lie. And Meghan is one of the most evil people to have ever walked this earth, I swear. She's a money, fame-hungry witch, and she doesn't care about anyone except herself. Anyway, another topic. Now, Meghan is not a princess. She is married to a minor royal, and she would never get anywhere near the throne. In fact, if the Brits had their way, she'd probably be locked in the tower and left to rot forever. She has tried to cause so much damage to the royal family, and the royal family has been an institution for over 1,000 years now. It's actually a very lucky thing that Meghan and Harry stopped being working royals. I mean, what was the late queen thinking when she allowed Meghan to be a working royal? I think the late queen was incredibly gracious, though. She offered Meghan and Harry a home in the country, and she encouraged Meghan to continue with her acting career. That was an option for her. I think that she should have stood firm on that, and she should have kept her out of the royal circuit until she really adapted and figured out what was going on. There should not have been any options open for her to become a senior working royal. That was a monarch's decision, not one for Harry and Meghan to make. And the Queen made that decision for William and Catherine. It was not the other way around. I do believe the late Queen might have made a mistake there. And Meghan acted so awful in Australia, she even complained that she wasn't being paid. And apparently Moroccan royalty are still upset about how Meghan insulted their sacred royal traditions like never before. She walked on the fringe of their sacred royal carpet after being told that she needed to keep an arm's distance. Yes, she was so incredibly disrespectful of their customs, their royal protocol, and their culture as a whole. There's a photo out there where you can see Meghan walking on the very edge of that red carpet, holding on to Harry like he was going to blow away, and with that ugly smile of hers. The Moroccans who were there weren't happy with what she did, of course not. And this is all going to go down in their history books. And this ex-yacht girl, this mattress actress, pushed Harry away, the honored royal guest, by the way, so that she could meet the official party before he got to. Now, Morocco is still a very patriarchal country, and they're still cursing Meghan. The lovebirds had a big fight before they left on that trip, and I suspect there was an even bigger row that happened after they came back to the UK. We only need to see how well Sophie accepted her role as wife of a son of the Queen to understand what could have been done differently. He continued to run her PR business for a few years until she had kids, and she really grew into her role so well. Just look at her now. But I think Meghan would require a brain transplant before she could have ever done something like that. She was written out of Suits next season anyway, but whether or not she was going to admit that to the late Queen, well, of course we don't know. The big failure of even allowing Meghan Markle through the palace gates lies entirely with MI5 and MI6 and the Privy Council. After all, it was their job to understand the danger of allowing Meghan in, and they had to have known about her history, about the company that she liked to keep. And if they didn't, well, maybe they should have dug a bit deeper. If they had acted faster, as soon as her name was brought up, contacted American intelligence services maybe to compile an in-depth dossier, then all of this could have been avoided. Whether Harry liked it or not, it wouldn't have mattered. And unfortunately, I think that Harry still would have insisted on marrying that evil woman with or without the approval of Her Late Majesty the Queen. And that would have been a lot worse, actually. See, Her Late Majesty just wanted Harry to be happy, and it seemed like he was happy. He wasn't going to listen to anybody's advice, not even his grandfather. Whatever happens to him now is entirely his fault. Everybody only wanted the best for him, but you know what? He didn't want the best for anybody else. And now it looks like both Meghan and Harry are going to continue to plummet. Well, Harry, you made your bed, now it's time to lie in it.